My name is Ms. Hindes, as in my name is based in being a teacher first. I teach at Centennial, and I'm here to bring the human to what has been a disappointing and disrespectful experience for me. You see, you've made this about sides and others. You hired a lawyer from Chicago that is known to take the human out of our needs, and you've stripped me of my worth, feeling like I have none. For a long time, I thought it was the discontentment for your only recognition of the work I do, a single fruit basket, to be shared by 160 of my colleagues for Teacher Appreciation Week. You'll excuse me if I don't see the recognition in your offering. You see, you don't want to pay me like the work I do. I'm not talking about the over 20 hours of grading outside of contract time I logged in the last 2 weeks balancing a personal funeral and essay feedback. You see, I am talking about walking into a room of crying students crying because their teenage lives were rocked by the fragility of life because of a suicide or violence, experiences that we've had sadly too often. You don't pay me like not having to explain this to one child, your child, but a room full of children, asking, how could this have happened? Or is this my fault, Ms. Hindes? How do I tell a child that wants so badly to be an adult that I don't have the answers? All I can do is hold them in a heart space and keep fighting for them. You see, you don't pay me like I walked into a classroom after finding out Ferguson is on fire. I didn't have to explain to my own children why the world still believes so heavily in hate and fear, but I did get asked questions like, is my dad a bad guy because he's a police officer? Or, Ms. Hindes, why do people hate me? How do I answer the questions that don't have answers? All I can tell them is keep asking. I don't know, I'm sorry, but I will work harder. You see, you don't pay me like I was asked, Ms. Hindes, can I talk to you for a minute? I know this line like I know the words to Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. You see, this student will tell me the violence of what some may call a bad date, but I know is date rape. You don't pay me while I search for the words to tell them that what happened to them wasn't their fault and the supports they will need for the next chapters of their life. You see, you don't pay me for the hard moments, for the moment I finally had a job that required me to run down the hall because a student slipped a note in my pocket about how your child is feeling helpless and has a plan. You don't pay me like I'm a valued member of your community and this work is real. You believe that I need to be fixed as a teacher when I believe I need support. I need to be able to take a day off and recharge because I lost my sense of hope and I don't know how to answer these questions. I need to be able to go and find out at conventions for teachers that can answer some of the questions I can't. I don't need 2 more days for you to fix me. I need to go to national conventions and feel the energy of hope and a conference full of people advocating for a better future for your children, for these children. They deserve for me to be hopeful. You see, these moments aren't singular because let me tell you, I did have to hold true. This same child 4 years later sat in my classroom and told me he was in the 7th grade when he first accepted that he would die from police brutality. I did have to hold this as true as survivors telling me college is a whole new set of challenges. I did have to hold it as true that it didn't end in high school, the abuse, the oppression, the depression. Might I ask you to pay me like it was your child that knocked on the English office door and asked to talk, or silently cried in my classroom because this was where they found safety after assaults, or angry yelled at the end of the day because they don't know how to do this. Might I ask you to pay me like this is exactly where you need people the most, and you can't get it by getting an anti-union lawyer or a fruit basket to split among 160 of us. Might I ask you to see this as human in this, answer this. I will never stop fighting for your child, for these children, for justice and peace, but if you can't find value in me, how do I keep going when my students hear that the world doesn't value them?